If you like to talk about combat sports and you want to join the discussion, click the subscribe button below and the bell notification icon next to it and join Knucklehead Nation. What's going on, Knuckleheads? Welcome to the FightersRep video podcast. I'm the FightersRep. In this video, we're going to be discussing the fight that just went down at UFC Fight Night. Kevin Lee versus Charles Oliveira. This is our post-fight reaction discussion on that fight. And my goodness, I mean, what can we say other than Charles Oliveira looked absolutely impressive. For the first couple rounds, it was a bit of a back and forth fight. Kevin Lee actually decided to take the fight to the ground in the second round because he seemed to start getting frustrated with Charles Oliveira's striking, which, seemed much improved over his previous fights. He was landing a lot of weird, unorthodox strikes on Kevin Lee, who's more of a basic striker with a wrestling base. That said, Lee was landing some good shots, landed a lot of good right hands on Charles Oliveira. But then in the third round of the fight, Kevin Lee is, again, getting tired seemingly against Charles Oliveira, who's much calmer during the stand-up. It looked like Kevin Lee was really exerting himself during the stand-up, and Oliveira was very relaxed. I mean, you could even see it not only when he was delivering his shots, but when he was taking the shots. He was very fluid in reacting, and even when he got hit, it didn't seem to really affect him. And so Kevin Lee, landed through a combo and basically went in to take Charles Oliveira down, changed levels, tried taking him down, got caught in a guillotine that was just too tight. A little bit of weirdness went on as Oliveira, caught him in the guillotine. After a few seconds, Kevin Lee, struggled to get out and then tapped out. It looked like 5 or 6 taps to me. And then as Oliveira went to let him go and, stand up to celebrate, Kevin Lee held on to him as Oliveira was twisting out. Kevin Lee held on to him as if, the fight was still going on, as if he's trying to take his back. But, and then acting like he didn't tap, which was very weird. Something tells me that perhaps the choke was in so tight that Lee may have either briefly lost consciousness or he was just trying to cheat in order to continue, the fight. I would say it's the former, just because I'm going to give Kevin Lee the benefit of the doubt. I'll say that, he probably lost consciousness. I really can't explain otherwise why he would continue to try to fight as if the fight was still going on, other than, not being happy with the fact that he had to tap out. But very strange ending, and a lot of people will probably say, oh, Kevin Lee is a cheat, he's trying to get away with it. But, he doesn't come off as that kind of person. I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt. And, even though I am an objective sort of, I guess, podcaster, you can say, I don't want to call myself a journalist, but a podcaster, I will say that I'm a little bit disappointed. I wanted kind of Kevin Lee to do it, for the home team. But just, Charles Oliveira showed very good skills, just a bit too much for Kevin Lee, both, I think, in the stand-up and on the ground. I felt like at any point in time, eventually I felt like Oliveira's superior jiu-jitsu was going to end up winning the day for him. And, this is another notch, I think, for the jiu-jitsu community. I mean, for a while there, in the sport, at least in my opinion, I felt like these wrestlers were really starting to get the better of the sport, but now it looks like these other disciplines or specialists are starting to catch up. Guys with these strong jiu-jitsu bases, especially like Oliveira, man, exceedingly dangerous. I mean, the longer you stay in there with him, the more opportunities he gets to strangle you or catch a limb. And it was almost like, over and over and over again, he was putting Kevin Lee in danger of being submitted. So I must say, fantastic performance by Charles Oliveira. I mean, he looks like if he continues to improve his striking and, his ground game just kind of stays the same or continues to improve, he's a real threat to anybody in the division. I mean, he handled Kevin Lee, I think, even though it was competitive in the first couple rounds, without much trouble. I mean, he finished him in the third round. So, you got to give a lot of credit to Charles the Bronx Oliveira. Fantastic performance, and wow. And it was strange. It was a strange event to see it there with nobody in the audience. It was just very weird, watching this fight happen with nobody in the audience. It kind of felt like one of those, Dana White looking for a fight, Contender Series type fights where you had a very small, intimate audience. You could hear the echoes of the guys when they would scream. The announcers were also, they'd get excited, but you wouldn't hear the usual uproar of the crowd as something exciting happened. So definitely not something I'm used to, this this competing without a crowd. I much rather the guys fight with a crowd on hand, but you can't have it all. At least we still had a fight. And my goodness, the craziness of the coronavirus, continues. It continues to drive everybody crazy and to knock things out of order. And man, I'm hoping this thing lets up sooner as opposed to later. So again, that was UFC Fight Night 170 from Brasilia, Brazil, in the empty Gimnasio Nilson Nelson. That's the name of the arena. Definitely a unique atmosphere. We also, besides the main event, we had Gilbert Burns taking on Demian Maia in the co-main event, and I thought that was a beautiful finish by Gilbert Burns. If you watch Demian Maia fight, he's primarily a ground guy, and he was throwing, his jab, which is, one of his favorite strikes. He likes to throw this really kind of excessive telegraph jab that he really steps into. And Gilbert Burns, of course, he credited Henry Hooft to his beautiful counter there, was just out of range and seemed to know that he was just out of range of the longer Demian Maia. And so when Maia threw the jab, it sort of stopped right here near Burns' chin, not far enough to connect, maybe just enough to barely touch the chin. And when Maia did that, left himself open to a beautiful, what looked like a counter left hook right on the button that just kind of, almost turned him off, but took him into another world. Burns looked down on him, saw his prey, was basically completely helpless. I mean, Maia was there, but wasn't really there. And Burns started just, raining down hammer fists on him. And the referee jumped in and stopped the fight. So, very clean. I don't think there was anything controversial about that one, but a very clean finish for Gilbert Burns. Darag McGinnis says, who won? Again, Charles Oliveira with a beautiful guillotine finish in the third round. Just a beautiful performance from the Brazilian this evening. So Knuckleheads, before I continue, I just want to remind you to join Knucklehead Nation by subscribing or hitting the bell notification icon right here below. By doing so, you join Knucklehead Nation. We do this Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 7 p.m. Pacific. And immediately after all of the big fights, and because we didn't have too many big fights this weekend, I definitely wanted to go live right now after this Kevin Lee versus Charles Oliveira fight, and at least give you guys a little bit of content, since most of us are probably sitting at home right now in self-quarantine, unfortunately, because of this ridiculous virus that's, spreading all throughout the world. Is it as serious as we think it is? Is it not? Who knows? All I know is I'm sitting at home And, we're terribly, terribly bored of having to sit at home all day. Although for those that do have the day off of work, at least you can take some reprieve from your typical day at work. So yeah, Knuckleheads, that's pretty much it. I mean, if you want to continue to support the page, again, hit the subscribe button, the bell notification icon. Be sure to hit that like button. And also, if you get FightersRep gear in the links below, or donate to the super chatter in the links below, anything you spend here gets reinvested right back into FightersRep promotions. We are the only unified rules kickboxing only promotion in the state of California. We also have a pro license. As far as I know, we're the only pro kickboxing promotion in the state of California. So your support is much appreciated. We got the most talent in the world down here. Of course, right now, a lot of the gyms are struggling. So for the guys that are going to fight gyms, that are training at their fight gyms, I implore you to continue to support your gym, to continue to pay your membership. Hopefully we'll get through this in the next couple weeks. It'll all blow over. Excuse me. Ginger Giant says no football in Europe. Saturday, weird as fuck. Definitely weird, not having any sort of sports at all. Dara McGinnis also says, thanks, you're the only good YouTuber reviewing this fight. Hey, it's my absolute pleasure to review the fight. Oliveira looks really good, man. He looks like a guy who could potentially beat anyone on any given day. So, definitely a guy who I think, as well as Kevin Lee, deserves coverage. Fight Life Nation, our brother, says that was a very good high-level matchup. Great transitions on the ground by both guys. Kevin Lee seems to come up short in almost all his big fights. He has a fun style and is never boring, but almost always gets caught in something. He went out for a split second. I think that's why he kept trying to fight. You're right about Kevin Lee. I feel like he still though has time to mature. I hope he continues to mature and get better. I think a little bit more maturity and perhaps development in his jiu-jitsu game will, prevent him from losing these fights, as we've seen when he has stepped up to the plate against the big dogs. He seems to be beaten by guys with superior jiu-jitsu. Of course, he also lost a striking match to Ali Aquinta, and, if you're losing a striking match to Ali Aquinta, who's a good fighter, you're going to also have to step up your striking game, because Iaquinta is definitely not the best striker in the division. So, again, I think more maturity is needed on the part of Kevin Lee, both, on the ground and in the stand-up. I still have hope for him because he's a good wrestler. But, I don't know. He also seemed to gas a little bit in this fight. I mean, I felt like he was tired. He went for that takedown, which resulted in the finishing sequence, because he seemed to run out of options and seemed to be a lot more tired than Oliveira was. If you can see in the striking, at least this is something I observed. Of course, everybody will have their opinion, but what I observed was Oliveira being very relaxed in the striking, getting the better of the striking as the fight progressed. Lee did land some good shots and was having some success, but Oliveira seemed much more relaxed, spending a lot less energy while still being extremely effective, and was, chipping away at Kevin Lee. And eventually, Kevin Lee went in for the takedown and compromised his neck in the process, and, got taken out by a very, very high-level BJJ guy in Charles Oliveira. And again, big up to him, big up to his skills on the ground. Extremely, extremely impressive. And, just kind of weird. Just kind of weird to see, an empty arena during a UFC event. But I guess, they make enough money on pay-per-view and stuff like that it's not a big deal. Also, I saw a tweet here by Megan Anderson, something that I wanted to highlight for you guys. She says, you cannot deny the man any longer. He's been in the UFC for 10 years and only just turned 30, now on a 7-fight win streak with all stoppages. And she's referring to Oliveira. I mean, that is crazy. And he's also tied for the most finishes at 16 in UFC history, although he's never fought for an undisputed title, but, it definitely looks like he's headed in that direction. And, he did say in the post-fight interview that he feels like the belt's eventually going to be his. He wants the winner of Khabib versus Tony. And, I can't really knock him for that. He definitely deserves, a crack at those guys. I would like to see Gaethje get the next fight. But, we'll see. We'll see what the UFC does here. Austin Allen, thank you so much for joining, brother. Hit that subscription button and the bell notification icon next to it. Join Knucklehead Nation. He says, Kevin Lee is the Dr. Jekyll versus Mr. Hyde fighter. Calculated risk, says salute, George. Salute, my brother. Where have you been, man? Thank you so much for joining the chat. We're just sitting here talking about Lee versus Oliveira. Talking about Oliveira now, tied for the most, I guess, UFC finishes on a 7-fight finishing streak. Looking like an absolute beast today, finishing Kevin Lee in the 3rd round. Just, fantastic performance from Charles Oliveira. Other than that, though, not much that I saw on the rest of the card. I did see that. I'm a little bit confused. I didn't get to watch the Johnny Walker fight, and I'm seeing a little bit of a mixed result here. Let me find out what happened to Johnny Walker. So it looks like Johnny Walker actually lost a decision, man. I mean, as Johnny Walker damaged goods, lost a decision to Nikita Krylov. My goodness, did Johnny Walker's loss in his previous fight kind of decimate his confidence, his loss to Corey Anderson? I mean, it was a brutal knockout loss, and it's really sad to see Johnny Walker, lose a decision to Nikita Krylov. Not something that I would have expected, if I'm being honest with you, knuckleheads. That's crazy. That being said, I just wanted to let you guys know that FightersRep 10, despite this crazy virus, whatever's happening here, FightersRep 10 is still scheduled for May 29th. We're still in the process of matching guys for that card, again, in Seal Beach, California. If you're anywhere near Seal Beach or Southern California, you definitely want to, catch it live. But if not, if you're too far away, we will air it live and free on YouTube as we usually do. But, it's still tentatively scheduled for May 29th. If we have to postpone the card, we will. If you're interested in competing at FightersRep 10, definitely hit us up on Instagram at FightersRep. Follow us on Instagram at FightersRep, on Twitter, on Facebook. It's all FightersRep. You can also send an email to info@FightersRep.com. And, we'll put you on the card if you're interested. Austin Allen says, before I die, I just want to see someone knock Jones out. Wow, that's interesting. I don't think something tells me that unless something serious happens in the life of Johnny Walker, it probably will not be Johnny Walker. Whiskey Dragonfly says, peace fam, Johnny Walker really is the hype train we all refused to believe he was. Corey Anderson KO wasn't a fluke. My goodness. And you may be right about that. But knuckleheads, that's pretty much my perspective on the entirety of the fight. I got really, nothing else. If you guys got something you want to discuss before I bust off here, definitely let me know. Calculated Risk says, last FightersRep event was lit. Thank you so much, my brother. I must say that was a really exciting event. It was our biggest and best event yet. We actually had over 24,000 people that have watched the live stream since it's been up. So that's pretty crazy. I think we had, over 8,000 the day of, and people have continuously, gone back to watch it. Uh, Fantastic performances, man, all around on that card. We had so many evenly matched fights. I felt like the main event between John Garcia and Milton Arguello was absolutely, electric. There were some serious exchanges going on there. So, one thing I wanted to tell you guys that, it seems that FightersRep, by espousing this unified rule set, we've influenced now the IKF in the state of California to sit down and really write out and explain the unified rule set, the unified rules of kickboxing rule set under the IKF. And I'm really excited about that because the IKF seems to be excited that we've kind of brought this sport back and put it back into the forefront in the Southern California scene. And they're really excited about sort of amending the rules and making them more, not only more fan friendly, but more fighter friendly and easier to understand. And so, I'm happy to say that Dan Bam Bam Stell, along with myself, and of course Steve Fossum, president of the IKF, we've really, I think, pushed, and I can't forget to mention CSAC, we've really pushed the sport a long way in the past year. And I think this last FightersRep event, really showed the fight game that there is an interest in unified rules kickboxing if it's marketed and done right. And I mean, we had a sold out crowd. It was absolute madness. So, thank you for letting me know that you enjoyed the fight. That means a lot. That means a lot to me, brother. Let's see. Austin Allen says, you're right, it won't be Walker. And he is why I said that. At one point, Walker was a maybe to be the guy to take out JJ. I remember that, and it's crazy that people, thought that and where we were and where we are now, man. Rochelle Ricks Prestes, thank you so much for joining. Hit the subscribe button, the bell notification icon if you haven't already. Says, hello, bro. I watch you from Brazil. Hey, man, thank you so much. Muito obrigado for watching me from Brazil. I love Brazil. I've been there twice. I went for a month during law school. I also went for a honeymoon, my honeymoon. So definitely a beautiful place. Much love to Brazil. Austin Allen says, now it seems Reyes or Jones can ride off into the sunset undefeated at light heavyweight. Well, not Reyes. Of course, he lost to Jones. But yeah, I mean, one of them is going to have to be the man. Calculated Risk says, keep growing fan base, George. Thank you so much, brother. Much appreciated. Whiskey Dragonfly saying, how's coronavirus affecting your city and local commerce? Any weird or crazy stories in your neck of the woods? Whiskey, actually, yes. I'm in Los Angeles. I'm in San Pedro to be exact right now. And it's nuts, man. People are going to the grocery store, buying everything out. What I don't understand, and the people that I really dislike, are the people buying all the toilet paper. I mean, did you not wipe your ass before the coronavirus? Why the fuck is everybody buying up all the toilet paper? These people are so fucking stupid, you know what I mean? Buying out all the toilet paper. I mean, people have kids, people have, their own ass to wipe. I mean, what are you doing? What are you thinking? You know what I mean? It's just, it just makes you realize that at their core, human beings are fucking primates. If you went and you stacked your shopping cart full of toilet paper to the point where it was overflowing beyond the top of the shopping cart with toilet paper, go fuck yourself. That's from me, and that's from every other normal fucking hominid walking on 2 feet. Because that's just fucking ridiculous, bro. I mean, there's old people and a bunch of other fucking people that are trying to wipe their ass too. What are you thinking? I don't understand it. And then, all the schools are getting canceled. That's understandable. Even though it doesn't really seem to be affecting the kids, which I'm relieved about, they are still vectors. And, they are, a lot of them, if you're like me, you got in-laws and old elders that are taking care of your kids and that you're around all the time. You don't want to get them sick. They're the most vulnerable, seemingly, in this whole situation. So, it's a fucked up situation. What I'm worried about the most to be honest with you, as local businesses. I'm really worried about a lot of the fight gyms, to be honest with you, because it seems like a lot of people, are quitting the gym or not going to the gym. And of course, these fight gyms, I mean, if this is the business owner's livelihood, where else are they going to get money from? And where are the fighters going to train if people decide to stop paying their dues and the place goes under? I mean, so it's definitely damaging the sport as far as gyms go. It's also damaging the sport as far as promotions go. We had one canceled for yesterday, where our commentator Blake Troop was going to be fighting for the Lights Out heavyweight title. So that sucks. And then a bunch of other events got canceled. I mean, apparently the California State Athletic Commission canceled all events in March. And who knows, I mean, if they're going to reach into April now. I don't know if they've made an announcement on that. But who knows, And then, Fighters Rep 10 is scheduled for the end of May. I'm hoping it's far enough out there to where we won't be affected. But who knows? At the end of the day, though, I can postpone and still run my business. Unfortunately, a lot of other businesses don't have that luxury. And, those are the people that we're worried about. So definitely continue to support your local businesses. Continue, please, to support your gym and pay your dues. It's very, very important. Let's see. Austin Allen says, I thought Reyes did enough to win. I like the rematch for sure, though. I think Jones might come back stronger in the second fight. You might be right. And Austin Allen's saying like he did against Gus. Whiskey Dragonfly is saying, what the hell is up with the toilet paper? I don't understand it either. It's gone on Amazon too. What is the correlation? Again, I guess people, I don't know. Maybe they use it as tissue paper to blow their nose. I don't know. I don't know. It's weird. It's very fucking weird. It's gross. Jamaican says, Kevin, I swear I did not tap Ali. Calculated risk saying, I clean it by water, not toilet paper, full of disease. Real talk. Well, that's interesting to know. I'm actually thinking of investing in a bidet now after this situation, which is definitely, a gross one. Austin Allen says they should be buying rice and survival stuff like gas guns, tape, tarps, and even building gardens or greenhouses. I agree with that, but I think that's too extreme too. Something's telling me this is going to blow over in a couple weeks to a month tops, and we'll see what happens. Calculated risk setting. Toilet paper is the last choice. It's weird people here in U.S. wipe their asshole with tissue paper instead of clean water. Whiskey Dragonfly saying small business owners are going to get affected the worst. The rents always do. That's true. Ritual Rick Prestes says Charles talks about title shot, but I think he needs one more fight. I agree with you, Rochelle. I think he also needs one more fight. Calculated Risk says, I'd rather spend my money on food and survival tools than toilet papers. I agree with that. Austin Allen, nobody's even sick is what scares me. H1N1 was way worse with SARS. They did concerts everywhere. Calculated Risk said, spend money on masks instead of toilet papers, people. Jamaica says, I'll never bet on Kevin Lee again. Oh, man, Jamaica, he did you wrong, brother. Calculated Risk says, Austin Allen, exactly, which, referring to Austin's comment that, SARS was all over the place and way worse, and people were still doing concerts. Austin Allen saying it might blow over, but man, they invested a lot already, shutting down Europe. That's a red flag to something big like an economy collapse. Hey, they're shutting down everything here too, but looks like I'm still going into work on Monday, brother. But anyway, knuckleheads, thank you guys so much for your time. I'm going to get off now. If I'm being honest, I kind of have a sore throat. I'm hoping it's nothing. But, if it is something, it doesn't feel too serious. So, who knows? I had it on Friday a little bit. I had it yesterday and I got it today a little bit. Just having a sore throat, I've been taking Theraflu and stuff, drinking hot stuff, We'll see what happens, but, I'm not too worried about it. I think, everything's going to be okay. for everybody. Just stay clean, keep away from the elders. Give them their space. Make sure if you're going to be near them or be around them, to help them out, keep them clean, and that's all we can do. Anyway, knuckleheads, much love to you guys. Appreciate you guys. We'll be on probably every day because of this fucking disease. So be sure to catch us at 7. Even though we typically do this Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, we got to have something to talk about, some content. So, like Calculated Risk is saying, peace out, everyone. Stay safe, and more than ever, our outro, where we say keep it clean. Until next time, keep it clean. More than ever is it resonating right now. But anyway, much love to you guys, and have a great evening.